Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at all the stuff going on around the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
All this chatter, all this gossip, all these, behind-the-scenes stuff going on. And we have a very interesting source, transcript from a YouTube channel called The Stop.
Okay.
And it really focuses on what's been going on with Jess Hilarious and her apparent, either departure or replacement from the show. So,
Right.
we're gonna look at all that and just kind of see what this source tells us.
When I first saw this, I thought, wow, this is juicy.
Yeah.
There's some meat on the bone here.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this. We're gonna see what we can learn about the Breakfast Club from this source.
So yeah, let's start with the beginning here. What does this source say about Jess Hilarious' side of the story? What's her take on everything?
Well, from what I'm reading here, she makes it pretty clear. Yeah, that she feels like she's been replaced by Loren Lorosa, and that's kind of her main gripe.
Yeah.
And the thing that I find really interesting is she actually initially recommended Loren to fill in for her during her maternity leave.
Yeah, she talks about that. Yeah.
So, and then to come back and feel like her spot is no longer hers, her desk is occupied, that's got to be a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, and it seems like she's quite upset about the whole thing. There's a sense of anger there, but yeah, she does say that she's not mad at Loren personally. She's just mad at the situation itself.
Right. Well, yeah, you can understand why she would feel that way.
Yeah.
I mean, to bring somebody in to kind of hold down the fort while you're out, and then to have them sort of usurp your position, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I can't say I blame her for feeling that way.
Yeah. So the transcript also mentions, this meeting that was held to kind of discuss, restructuring her role on the show. Does the source give us any insights into, what went down in that meeting or?
Well, it doesn't get into specifics, but
Right.
but it does say that Jess was very clear about her desire to be a part of the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
And she wanted to stay on the show, and I think that really underscores her commitment.
Right.
It suggests that whatever they were proposing wasn't exactly what she had in mind.
Yeah. So, this YouTube channel, The Stop, they don't just rely on Jess's statements. They also point to these visible signs of tension on air between Jess and Loren.
Right. They talk about these on-air moments.
Yeah.
That really kind of hint at this underlying beef.
Yeah, and they give these specific examples, like Jess telling Loren to shut up on air, and Loren firing back with, "Stop interrupting me, babyface."
Oof. Yeah, that's not your typical on-air banter.
No, and she does apologize for it later, so it's not like it was just, something she let slide.
Right. Well, I mean, clearly there's some tension there, and whether it's all coming from this situation or if there's other stuff going on behind the scenes, I don't know, but it's definitely palpable.
Yeah.
It's something you can feel.
Yeah, so the way that this YouTube channel presents it, it's pretty much a clear case of Jess being replaced. Would you say that's an accurate assessment?
Yeah, I mean, that's their narrative for sure.
Yeah.
They argue that she was being marginalized and phased out, and they see Loren's increasing presence as the, writing on the wall.
Yeah, and they claim they've been talking about this for months,
Right. They say this wasn't like a sudden development in their eyes.
Right.
They've been seeing this coming for a while, so, whether they're reading into it too much or whether they've got some insider information, who knows? But that's their take.
But they do go on to say that Jess might bear some of the responsibility in this whole situation too, right?
Yeah. They bring up a really interesting point.
Yeah.
They say that even while Jess was on maternity leave, she was still doing comedy shows and other work.
Right.
So their argument is that, she wasn't completely absent from her career during that time, and maybe that had something to do with the perception of her commitment to the Breakfast Club.
It does kind of make you think, like how workplaces view parental leave, especially in these, high-profile, high-pressure environments. It's a tricky situation.
For sure. Because on one hand, you have this expectation that, you're supposed to be fully dedicated to your job.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you have this need to take time for yourself and your family, and it's hard to find that balance sometimes.
Absolutely, especially when you're in the public eye.
Right.
No.
You're always on display, so.
Yeah, it's tough. So, things take a really interesting turn when this YouTube channel starts speculating about Charlamagne Thy God's role in all of this.
Yeah, they go there.
They do.
They definitely go there. And I gotta say, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
They suggest that Charlamagne might have actually orchestrated Jess's departure to elevate Loren.
And they seem to think there's a financial motive behind it, right?
Yeah, they point to Charlamagne's connections with the Black Effect Network. And they basically accuse him of making this choice and forcing iHeart to do this, which is, a pretty serious accusation.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not shying away from it. They're very direct in the transcript about their suspicions. So it's definitely adding fuel to the fire.
Absolutely. And, whether there's any truth to it, we don't know, but it's certainly an intriguing theory.
So how does this YouTube channel see Loren's position in all of this?
They paint her as someone who was ready to step up.
Okay.
They talk about her going from like an assistant coach role to potentially becoming the third mic on the show. And they're very complimentary of her. They say she's got what it takes and she was prepared for this opportunity.
So they seem to believe that she's earned this position.
Yeah, they don't see her as like a backstabber or anything. They see her as someone who was ready and willing when the opportunity presented itself.
So based on this YouTube channel's analysis, what do they see as the future for The Breakfast Club?
Well, they predict that it's going to be must-see TV moving forward.
Wow, even without Jess.
Yeah, they think this new dynamic is going to be really compelling for viewers. So, who knows? Maybe they're right.
So just to kind of recap the main points from this deep dive,
Yeah.
Jess feels replaced by Loren after returning from maternity leave. Despite her initial recommendation, the YouTube channel highlights on-air tensions as evidence of underlying issues. They present this narrative of Jess being phased out to make way for Loren, and then they bring in this whole angle of Charlamagne's alleged influence for financial gain.
Yeah, and let's not forget the point about Jess continuing to work during her leave, whether that played a role in her perceived commitment to the show, who knows? But it's an interesting element to consider.
Yeah, it definitely adds another layer to the whole situation.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
it really does make you think about how complex these situations can be.
For sure, for sure. I mean, we're only getting one perspective here, and who knows what the full story is. But it's a fascinating glimpse into the world of, on-air personalities and the business side of media and all the drama that goes on behind the scenes.
So it leaves us with some questions. What do you think of this whole situation with Jess and Loren and Charlamagne and The Breakfast Club? Does this transcript change your perspective at all? How do you think each individual is experiencing this whole ordeal, and what other factors might be at play that we haven't even considered?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say for sure without knowing all the facts, but it's definitely something to think about, and it makes you wonder about the dynamics of other shows and media outlets. And, are we just seeing the tip of the iceberg here?
That's a great question. Are we just seeing the tip of the iceberg?
I think so. I think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than we realize.
Yeah, and it's a reminder that, these on-air personalities are real people with their own ambitions and struggles, and it's not always as glamorous as it seems.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We tend to put these people on pedestals, but they're just as human as the rest of us.
Well said. Well said. So we'll have to leave it there for today. But thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, everybody.